Thank God my mom didn't let the doctor take pictures of me. I was 4 years old when this happened and only remember parts of it, so I had my mom tell me the full story now that I am older. When I was younger we would go stay at my aunt's house when my family visited my mom's hometown. They had a lab, and we had only ever had a hypoallergenic dog. I got a rash from it, and oddly it spread down there, you know. My mom says it's because I was a kid and I probably wasn't washing my hands then going to the bathroom with whatever I was allergic to still on my hands, dog hair I guess. My mom took me to the dermatologist right when I got home because it had not gone away. Neither of my parents used a dermatologist so they asked friends for a recommendation. My mom is a doctor, so she did look him up before she took me to him. He had a good reputation. When we met with him, and I do remember parts of this, he checked over everything and said it wasn't much to be worried about and gave me a steroid for it. He then asked my mom if he would be able to take pictures of the rash to document it for research. Now my mom being a doctor is pretty okay with using cases for research. I know this because I am used for a research study since I had a certain hip surgery at such a young age, but she felt like this was off. She said she really didn't think of him asking in a creepy way, but she said regardless if it was a rare case to be documented she would never had let a doctor take pictures of her 4-year-old daughter's private parts, but she said that the biggest red flag was that he had just said it is a common thing and not to worry about it. My mom being in medicine knows this means there is extensive research on it and a picture of a common rash did not make sense. She forgot about it and obviously didn't take me back. She told her friends that recommended him about it but we all kind of forgot about it. That was until we saw him on the news. He was arrested at the America-Canada border and was found in possession of more than 200 pictures and videos of child porn. So thank you mom for not always putting your trust in doctors, people who we should put our trust in. One decision. When I was a teenager I was goth. Black hair, black clothes, black makeup, even had a pair of combat boots. My friends and I, in typical goth fashion, hung out at the local cemetery. We started going as a joke but soon discovered we liked the peace we found there. That all changed one night. My friend called to see if I wanted to hang out and I did. None of our other friends were available. They were either working or recovering from partying the night before so, we were on our own. My friend picked me up and we drove up to the cemetery. We were hanging out, smoking cigs, and BSing about the latest issues she was having with her boyfriend when we noticed at the top of the hill we were on, about 100 feet away, a bonfire had been lit. You have to understand that this cemetery is about a block off campus of a major university and it's not uncommon for college students to go there to party. My friend and I sighed, knowing that we would have to get going soon. It was illegal to be in the cemetery after dark and we knew the police would show up because some jerks had decided they needed a bonfire. We decided to finish our cigs and then take off. Just then, the most horrible stench came wafting down the hill from the direction of the bonfire. My friend gagged and covered her mouth. I groaned and said, "What the hell?" My friend shook her head, saying, "I don't know what they're doing. Let's just leave." We get in the car and one of us suggested, I honestly don't remember who, maybe we should just go up and see what they're doing? My stomach turned and a cold shiver went through my body. My friend must have had the same feeling because, at the same time, we both said, "No. We should leave." My friend turned the car on, switched on her headlights, put the car in reverse, and looked over her shoulder before starting to back up. I was still looking up the hill. A figure stepped in front of the bonfire. I could only see a silhouette but, I was sure whoever it was watching us. A feeling of terror hit me and I said, "Go. Go. Go. Go." Getting louder and more panicked with each word. My friend looked back up the hill for a second and just as the figure took a step towards us, she slammed on the gas and peeled out, going in reverse down the hill. She rammed the gear shift into drive and we were out. We didn't say anything for a while until she said, "What the hell were they burning?" I shook my head. "I don't know." She dropped me off at home and I went to bed. The next morning, I woke up and went out to the kitchen. My mom was there, drinking her morning coffee and I joined her. We talked about her job for a bit when she suddenly comes out with, "Did you hear what happened last night?" I shrug and say no. I had just gotten up. She tells me that a woman she worked with was kidnapped from the parking garage. "Oh my God," I say. "Did they find her?" "Yes, but too late," she replies. "Whoever took her had murdered her. They found her this morning up in the cemetery. He had tried to dispose of her body in a bonfire." I froze. My brain was going a mile a minute, the realization slowly creeping up. That's what that smell was. Needless to say, I never hung out at the cemetery at night again. I think back to our decision to leave instead of investigating the fire. That one decision could have changed everything. Dark silhouette in the bonfire. Let's not meet. Let's not meet pervert that followed me, my fiancé, and 2-year-old stepdaughter. Over the summer me, my fiancé, and my stepdaughter, then 2 years old, went on a vacation to Presque Isle, Pennsylvania. We stayed there throughout the afternoon and decided to get dinner in a nearby town, Erie, Pennsylvania. We go there and see a water fountain that kids can play in. We think our kid would like that, so we get food and take her there. Now it was kind of a pretty sketchy area. There were a lot of people that were super ghetto, for example, face tattoos and looking pretty high. But there were also kids and it was still a little light out, like 6:37-ish. Me and my fiancé sit down and watch our kid play for a bit. At some points our kid wants me to run in the water with her, so I do. I kind of keep going back and forth between playing with her and keeping my fiancé company. After playing with my kid for a while, I come back to my fiancé. She looked kind of pale and said, "Go get the kid. We need to leave right now." I didn't know what was going on but go to get the kid. As I was turning to go back and get her, I noticed a group of about 3 really weird guys staring intently at us. When I looked over, one of them stood up a little bit and was giving me a stare. I grab our kid and start following my fiancé, who is booking it. As we were walking away, she tells me that somebody is following us now. I look over and see the creepy looking, shirtless dude getting into this old, beige sedan behind us. My fiancé explains to me that the same man kept approaching her whenever I would get up to run around with our kid. At first he introduced himself, and tried talking to her. She thought he was benign but just trying to hit on her. When I came back he apparently bolted. I sat with her for a couple of minutes and then went back to play with our kid. Apparently, as soon as I went, he returned. He asked her if she was married to me. She said that we were going to be, hoping that it was the end of that. He goes away before I came back to sit with her again. The third and final time I go to play with our kid, he apparently came back. He told her that she thought she was a beautiful lady and asked if that was her daughter, pointing to our kid. My fiancé said yes, and the guy said that our kid was also a beautiful lady and that his night was gonna be made. Whatever that means. Cue when I come in and we book it. We're walking back to our car, which is kind of far away. Erie in general was pretty abandoned outside of the park. And we noticed the car pull out and start driving extremely slowly in a street parallel to us. At this point, I don't think he knew we saw him. My fiancé is freaking out, and I tell her to wait near the vestibule of a closed Starbucks, where we weren't in this guy's vision. We stayed there for about 5 minutes and I was watching the roads. Not seeing anything. We continue walking but are still on high alert. I find my car parked outside of a McDonald's and we're now power walking to it holding our kiddo. I look behind and lo and behold, the same beige car going at 3 miles per hour just barely inches out from the side street so I can see it. As my fiancé and kid are getting in, I turn around, stand at the back of the car and shoot this guy the death stare. After looking at his car for about 10 seconds solid, he peels out and speeds off past us, nearly hitting me. Not sure what this guy's problem was, but if you're in Erie, Pennsylvania, watch out for some scummy looking man that's about 6 feet tall, very wiry, possibly Hispanic and driving a beige tan car. I assume that he wasn't tailing us for any good reason. Afterwards I bring up the 3 guys that were staring at me. My fiancé said that the pervert following us was sitting with him when he wasn't coming over to her and saying creepy stuff. What was she planning to do to me? One time I went to the bar with one of my friends. I had just turned 21, so I haven't been to much bars up to that point. My friend was drinking on the way to the bar, so he was already pretty drunk when we got there. When I sat at the bar, a cute girl came and talked to me and my friend. She said her name was Candace and I noticed she had really bright red hair. I assumed she dyed it. It was pretty, but unnatural. Anyways, this girl was flirting with me and my friend. She could tell my friend was already very drunk. To be honest, I played along like I was drunk already too, since it seemed to be working for my friend. I didn't know if she was just trying to get free drinks, so I told her we didn't have much money. She offered to buy us drinks. She kept buying us drinks and I started to get confused as to who she liked between me and my friend. My friend went to the bathroom. Before he came back he was kicked out by the bouncers. He was too drunk. Candace and I went outside with him. She kept telling him to go home with her. He was so out of it he could barely answer her. I told her he was too drunk and that I couldn't let him go anywhere. I didn't want him to wake up hungover in some random house with no car and no idea what happened. Candace kept pushing it, saying that she would take care of him, but I told her no because I had to stay with him. I was more sober than him, he was my responsibility. I told her the only way he was going anywhere was if I tagged along. I assumed she thought that I was jealous or cock-blocking, but my friend could barely stand and lost interest in Candace already at that point. She immediately started flirting with me and offered to get my friend a taxi to drive him home and said we could go to her place alone. At this point I had a few drinks and I was pretty buzzed, so I agreed. We took my friend to the taxi and walked to her car. I slightly stumbled on the way to her car. "Wow, you're pretty drunk, huh?" she said, smiling as she held onto my arm. "Yeah," I said. I don't know why, but I just felt slightly shy and anxious. Everything was just happening too easy for me, so I felt uneasy. We got in her car, we drove down the street. "Wanna stop at the liquor store and get some more to drink? I'll buy it, so don't worry about paying," she offered. I didn't want to drink any more than I already did. I was already buzzed and wanted to be able to carry myself throughout the rest of the night. Sometimes I made myself look stupid when I'm drunk, so I didn't want to ruin anything with Candace more than I already did earlier with telling her my friend was too drunk. I told her I was already drunk enough, but she insisted. I didn't want to seem lame, so I told her to get me a pint of liquor with some apple juice to chase it. She went in the store and came out with a lot more than just a pint. I assumed she wanted to drink more also, and that's why she got a fifth instead of a pint. On the car ride we passed the bottle back and forth, but she took tiny sips. I tried to take tiny sips, but she kept passing me the bottle and telling me to drink. I somehow managed to drink all of my apple juice, and pretend to drink the bottle by spitting the liquor in the apple juice bottle. I tossed the apple juice bottle full of liquor out the window before she saw it. I didn't want her to know I was acting drunker than I was. She actually believed I was sloppy drunk when I was simply buzzed. I took a couple more sips of liquor and finished the bottle. Throughout the car ride I called her the wrong name a couple of times to get a reaction out of her. She didn't react to it. She just kept letting me call her Carla without correcting me. For some reason I thought she lied to me about her name initially. We drove up to her house. I pretended to trip and stumble into her front door. She helped me walk inside by holding me up. She opened her front door, which was unlocked. We walked in her house. She closed her front door and then locked it. I thought that was strange, but assumed she didn't want anyone walking in on us. I told her that I had to use the bathroom. I walked into her bathroom, locked the door and looked in the mirror. I just felt strange. I felt like something was off. I felt myself becoming more drunk from finishing the bottle earlier. I turned on the sink to make noise and made myself puke up the liquor I drank. I flushed and went to the sink and started drinking the tap water out of my hands to sober up. I just didn't want to be drunk, but I still wanted to hook up with Candace, so I wanted to pretend to be drunk. I turned the sink off and I could hear her talking to someone. "He's drunk as hell. He can barely stand up. You do it." Who was she talking to? And do what? I walked out of the bathroom and into the living room. The moment I stepped into the living room I saw her walking into another room. All I could see was the back of her head, that strange very bright red hair go into another room. I didn't see her face or anything. I just saw her kind of walk fast into the room. The living room was pretty dark. "Hey, where you going?" I slurred like I was drunk. She walked back into the dark living room and up to me. "Let's go in my room," she said. I looked at her bright red hair and then into her eyes. They were different. Her face was different. It was another girl with the same hair. That's when I realized. It was another girl with the same wig on. It was a wig the whole time. She had changed it with the girl from earlier for whatever reason. My heart felt like it stopped. But I tried to look like I had no idea it was a different girl. I kind of smiled at her and told her I just needed to use the bathroom one more time and told her sorry I was so drunk. She said, "It's fine, just hurry up in there." I went into the bathroom and locked the door. I heard her whisper something to someone again. This time I think I heard a male voice whisper back. I honestly didn't concentrate on listening to exactly what she said. Something sketchy was going on and I had to get out of that house. I opened the bathroom window and jumped straight out of it and ran faster than I have ever ran in my life. I didn't look behind myself or anything. I just ran through the backyard, jumped the fence, ran through someone else's backyard, hit a road, and ran toward the main road. I kept running down the main road until I saw a Star CVS. I ran into the CVS and stood straight at the front of the store in front of the camera. I called a taxi and went home. I tried to think what happened that night. What was she, or they, planning that night? Why did she tell me a fake name? Why was she trying to get my friend and me so drunk? I thought maybe a robbery, but she kept spending money on us. She kept buying us drinks and even paid for my friend's taxi cab. And mostly, why did she wear a wig that she gave to another girl to wear? Who was she talking to? What did it mean? And what was in that room they tried to lure me into?